you don't, this might be really good for you. So we're going to go back to comparing numbers. So for conditions, you compare numbers by using certain operators. Each one gives you a true or a false result. So you have your first two, less than and greater than, which tell you whether one number is greater than another or less than another. In the first example, 5 is less than 3. It'll return false because 5 isn't less than 3. And the second example returns true because 5 is greater than 3. So you have a couple other operators. There's less than or equal to. You can remember this as it'll give you, if it's, so it'll check whether it's less than or equal to the number. So 6 is less than or equal to 4 will return false because 6 is neither less than or equal to 4. If 6 was less than 4, then it would report true. Or if it was 4, then it would report 2 because either one of those conditions need to be fulfilled. 5 is less than or equal to 5 returns true because 5 equals 5. And 2 is less than or equal to 8 returns true because 2 is less than 8. It doesn't have to equal 8. The greater than equal to functions the same way, except instead of less than, you have greater than. So 6 is greater than or equal to 6 returns true because 6 is equal to 6. 7 is greater than or equal to 8 returns false because 7 is not greater than or equal to 8. But if it was 9 is greater than or equal to 8, it would report true because 9 is greater than 8. The last two operators are equal to and not equal to. The equals operator checks whether two numbers are equal. So 5 is equal to 4 returns false because 5 is not equal to 4. Then the operator not equal returns true. 5 returns whether the numbers are not equal to each other. So for 5 is not equal to 4, it'll return true because 5 isn't equal to 4. But if it was 5 is not equal to 5, it would return false because 5 is equal to 5. So now I'm going to have you guys do an exercise. For these 7 questions, can you guys write a message in the chat giving the answers to these problems? You guys have 2 minutes. Also, you can ask in the chat if you're having any trouble with any of the problems.
So just a reminder, the Answers should not be incorrect or correct. They should be either false or true, because these conditions evaluate to Boolean values. So when I say 5 is greater than 7, it should evaluate to false, not incorrect.
Who needs more time? Oh, we'll give you guys like 1 to 2 more minutes. If you haven't finished it yet, it's okay. But if you haven't started it yet, that's not good. Either way, we're gonna move on to the answers. So, yeah. So the first one is false. So 5 is greater than 7 is not true because 5 is obviously less than 7. 4 is greater than or equal to 3 is true because 4 is greater than 3. 5 is not equal to 6 is true because 5 is not 6. 6 is less than 4.5 is false because 4.5 is less than 6, and therefore 6 is not less than 4.5. 100 is greater than or equal to 100 is true because 100 is equal to 100. 5 is equal to 5 is true because 5 is equal to 5. And 7 is less than or equal to 6.1 is false because 7 is greater than 6.1. Anybody having any trouble? Any questions? Okay then. We'll move on. So other than just numbers, you can also compare variables. In this example, A is assigned to 6 and B is 5. A is greater than B will report true because A is greater than B, because A is 6 and B is 5. You can think of it as 6 is greater than 5. So if you assign A to like a string, like hello, or B to a number, like 5, then it will report an error because words cannot be compared to numbers and vice versa. You can only compare numbers and numbers together. So there are 3 keywords, not other than just the operators. There are a couple other words you can put into your if their conditions. There's the not keyword, which makes a Boolean true or false opposite. In these examples, if you have the Boolean true and put a not around it, it becomes false. And if you have false, you put a not around it, it becomes true. In the example, not 3 is less than 5, it'll report false because 3 is less than 5 will report true because 3 is less than 5. And then not will make it opposite and report false. So the AND keyword checks two conditions on either side of it and only reports true if both the conditions are true. So if you have the two conditions, 3 is less than 5 and 5 is greater than 4, it'll check both the sides. And because 3 is less than 5 is true and 5 is greater than 4 is true, then it'll report true. But even if one of those was false, such as in this case, 4 is less than 3 and 5 is greater than 4, in which 4 is less than 3 is false, it'll report false. So you could think of it as the conditions, and then it gets the value of those two conditions, and then it evaluates those two conditions and reports one final value. Then there's one last keyword, or, which checks two conditions on either side, alike and, but it reports true only if the condition on either side of it is true. So 5 is greater than 3 or 5 is less than 4 will report true because one condition is true, 5 is greater than 3. But the other condition, even though it's false, the or keyword still reports it as true. In the case 56 is less than 100 or 5 is greater than 4, you have two trues, which means that because there's one true, it'll report true. But if both cases are false, like in the last one where you have 56 is greater than 100 or 5 is less than 4, in which none of the cases are true, then it'll report false. There only needs to be one true for it to become true, while in the AND, there only needs to be one false to become false. So now we're going to go over conditionals. So what are conditionals? Conditionals are varying the output of the program based on a specific condition. That might be a bit confusing, so we have some more simple stuff. Conditionals are pretty much the if statements. So if statements have a condition, the ones with the 5 is less than 4, the AND keywords, or keywords, all that, and that is checked. If that condition is true, then they execute a snippet of code. So in this example above, you have 5 is less than equal to 6 and 5 is greater than 4. And then you have your code print hello. So in the example above, you would print hello because the condition is true, because 5 is less than 6 and 5 is greater than 4. And because there are two truths, the AND returns true and the code is executed. So then over here in these examples, if you have an if statement with a condition that's false, like the one above, where 5 is not less than 4, then nothing will be executed in that code. So in that example, nothing would be printed because the code inside of the if statement right here is not executed. Then you can also use variables in if statements. In this case, hello will be printed because A is 6 and B is 5, and 6 is greater than 5. So print hello will be executed. So then other than just the if statements, you can add on to them with else statements. So else statements are used after if statements and also have a snippet of code inside, but they have no condition like the if statement. These are called if the if statement condition is false. So the else statement code is called here because 5 is not greater than 6. So it'll print goodbye, but it won't execute hello. So it'll go past, so it'll check this condition, not print this, and then it'll skip over to the else, and then execute the else's code. Then over here, in another example, if the condition of the if statement is true, but you have an else statement here, then it'll execute the if statement, so it'll say true, it'll print hello, and then it'll skip over all of the else statement. So the else statement is never called. For a conditional, you have your, to write it down, you have your if, then you have parentheses on either side with your condition like this inside. Then you have to have a colon on the outside. Then you tab in, so you have a tab, an indent, and then you write your code. Then you tab out back to the if statement's original area, write the else keyword if you want to have an else loop. You don't have to. Then you have your colon, you tab in again, and then you write your code. So now we'll move to Aditya so that he can do practice problems. Also, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, they can unmute and ask it now or type it in the chat. Okay, so before we move, now we'll move on and we'll work on these practice problems here. So let's open up a REPL project on the side. So yeah, just open up a side REPL project so that you can test your code and write exactly as I do. Type in the chat once you've successfully opened up a new REPL project, logged into your account and opened a new REPL
Done.
project.
I got it. Good.
Cool. Okay, so I think a good amount of people have done it. So we're going to go over the first question. The first question is to ask the user what grade they are in. And if you are in a lower grade than them, print that out. So let's break down the question. The first part is to ask for an input and ask what grade they are in. So they may input that they're in 5th grade, right? And then basically if you are in a lower grade than them, so if you are in 4th grade, then you basically print out that you're in a higher grade than me. So now if we break down the problem further, we know that we need to have a variable that holds our current grade level. So if I say my grade level, right now I'm in 10th grade, so I'll write 10. And then I also want to take an input representing the user's grade level. So if I can create a new variable and say your grade level is equal to the input. Then I put parentheses and I put my prompt in the middle. So I say, what is your grade level? Now it's going to send a prompt and ask, what is your grade level? And then the result, what your grade level will hold is a string representing my grade level, what the user's grade level. So because it's a string, the input function returns a string. I need to convert the string to an integer so I can do the comparison. Remember, I cannot compare a string with an int. I can only compare integers with integers, floats with floats, etc. So then I have to convert the grade level from the input to an integer. So I write int, put parentheses, and then I take the string from the input. So that would be your grade level. And so what this does is it converts your grade level or the user's grade level into an integer. Now the next step is we want to compare my grade level and the user's grade level. And I say that if you are in a lower grade level than them, so if my grade level is less than their grade level, then I have to say I'm in a lower grade than you. So we can have an if statement. So you put if in space. Then you can say if my grade level is less than your grade level. So what that does is it says if my grade level is less than your grade level, then I put a colon. Then I press enter and it should automatically indent. Then you want to print to the display, I am in a lower grade level than you, right? So if my grade level, if their grade level is, let's say 11, then their grade level is higher than mine because I'm in 10th grade. And then it'll print I'm in a lower grade level than you. So we can run our code. We'll ask us, what is your grade level? I will say or whatever the user's grade level is. Let's pretend whoever's playing this is in 11th grade. He puts 11 and enter. And then it says, I am in a lower grade level than you because I was in 10th grade and he was in 11th grade. So does that first example make sense? Cool. Now moving on to the second question. The question is to ask the user whether they like cat videos on YouTube, then ask them if they like dog videos on YouTube, and depending on their responses, print whether they like pet videos or not. So for this question, let's assume liking cat videos means you either like cat videos or you like dog videos. So if I like either cat videos or dog videos, I like pet videos. So the first step again is to ask the user whether they like cat videos. So how can we do that? Let's delete the code we had before. And let's ask them whether they like cat videos. Like cat videos. Let's create a new variable called like cat videos that takes the input of do you like cat videos? Now, if they like cat videos, they would input yes. If they don't like cat videos, they would input no. Now, we also have to ask them whether they like dog videos. So we say like dog videos. Take an input, say, do you like dog videos? Now we're going to have a second variable that says whether you like dog videos. Now, we say, if we like either of them, then we want to print you like pet videos. So if like cat videos is equal to yes, remember this is going to be a string. And if it's yes, then that means that you like cat videos. So if like cat videos is yes, or like dog videos is yes, then what do we want to do? If we like cat videos or like dog videos, then we want to print to the display that you like pet videos. Okay, that makes sense. So we have the or, so if you either like cat videos or you like dog videos, then you like pet videos. So if I run it and I say, do I like cat videos? No. Do I like dog videos? Yes. Then it says, yes, I like dog videos. I didn't like cat videos, but again, my code said that it would tell me that you like pet videos. Now, if I say, do I like cat videos? Yes. Do I like dog videos? Yes. Then it'll also tell me I like pet videos. Now, if I write in the code, do you like cat videos? And I say no. And then they ask, do you like dog videos? And I say no once again. Then I don't get a response, right? So I could also have an else statement here that says else, if I don't like pet videos, then I can print you don't like pet videos. Make sense? So this time, if I say no, and I say no again, then it prints you don't like pet videos. Now moving on to the last question, it says ask a complicated math question and tell the user if they got the answer right or wrong. So let's break that down. We need to have some sort of math question. We need to ask the user the answer to that math question, and we need to tell them whether their answer was right or wrong. So we ask the user, we have to have a math problem. Let's say this math problem was 5 times 5 divided by 3 plus 2, or divided by 5. So if we say, then we also need to have the answer to it in the math problem. So we say answer is equal to, the answer should be an integer. So 5 times 5 is 25, divided by 5 is 5, plus 2 is 7. So the answer to this question is 7. And then we need to ask them the math question, and we need to have a variable that stores their answer to the math question. So we ask their answer, we create a new variable called their answer. We take an input of their answer to the math problem. So we say solve, then we add these two strings together. So we say solve math problem. What that's going to do is it's going to say solve, and then it's going to add this equation at the end. And then their input will go into their answer. Now, their answer should be only should be a float or an integer, right? So what we need to do is we need to convert it from a string to an integer, because the result of the input is always a string. So we convert it to an input, to an integer. We say their answer equal to the integer version with using the int command and parentheses. Then we put whatever we want to convert to an integer inside. And there we go. Now we have their answer as an integer. And we say that if the answer is equal to their answer, remember we need to put two equal signs to check if they're equivalent, their answer. Then, so if their answer is the actual answer, then what we want to do is print you were correct. Now, let's say their answer was wrong, right? So if their answer was not equal to their answer, then you unindent. You say else. And what else we'll do is if it does not say that answer is equal to their answer, we'll go to the else part and we can say print you were wrong. So if I run the code, it asks me the question. Let's say my answer is 10. I press enter. It'll tell me I was wrong. Now, if I put 7, which is the correct answer, it'll tell me you were correct. So yeah, that's the last problem using conditionals. So yeah, those are the 3 problems. Now we have a few independent problems for you to work on. And yeah, here they are. So if everyone can see my screen, just get started working on these 2 problems, and we'll give you about 5 to 10 minutes. And when you're done, just type in the chat that you're done. Cool. And remember, if you need any help, just ask one of us, or yeah, type it in the chat or ask one of us, and we'll be willing to help. I'm going to give you guys a few more minutes to finish up. Okay, nice job everyone on the 2 questions. I think a good amount of people were able to finish them, so good job. Right now we're going to work on one Kahoot, and yeah. So we're going to go kind of fast through these, and if any people if people are getting a lot of one question wrong, then I will stop and explain them all. So enter the code on your screen. Go to kahoot.it and then enter the code on your screen and make sure that you can see the display and my screen share and your Kahoot thing side by side. Is everyone in?
Give it a couple seconds. Give it like half a minute.
Does anyone else need any more time? Okay, we're gonna start now. Nice job. Nice job, everyone. Nice. Nice. Okay, so true and false, the and with and, both sides are on both sides of the and there it has to evaluate to true. So this would be correct if it was true and true. Both sides of the and have to have a true. Yeah, which is why the answer is false. Also correct. Nice job. So in this one, is the three is greater than 5, evaluates to false, and then when you the not inverses it. So if it's the false turns to true, so you get true, and 5 is greater than 3 is true as well. So you get true and true, because both sides of the and have a true. It evaluates to a true. So that's why the answer is true here. Nice. Yeah. If either side of the or is true, then the result is true. Yeah, so 5 is greater than 15, evaluates to false. Not of false is true. So you get true, and 6 is greater than 5, so that's true as well. So true, and 0 is greater than -1, so that's also a true. So you get true, and true. All evaluates to true. Okay, a lot of people got this wrong. So 3 is greater than or equal to 3, right? 3 is equal to 3 here. So this evaluates to a true. And then the not of true is false. So you get false, or 98 is equal to 98. 98 is equal to 98 evaluates to true, right? Because 98 is equal to 98. So you get false or true. False or true. If either side of the or is a true, then it evaluates into a true. So here we get the value true. So that's why the answer is true and not false. And the final question. Okay, a lot of people got this wrong. So 76 is not equal to 67. That is a true statement, right? 76 is not the same as 67. So we get true, and then not of true is false, which is why the answer is false. Cool. Okay, nice job everyone on that code. I think most people did really well. So now I'm going to give it over to Vedant to present about loops in Python.
Yep, let me get 1 second to set up my screen share. Okay, can you guys hear me?
I can't hear you.
Okay, cool. Pog. Alright, so we're gonna start with loops now. So after conditionals, loops are kind of the same thing. They have the condition inside of them, but except other some of them have the condition inside of them, but instead of just executing a piece of code once, they can execute it multiple times. These are good for like if you have a piece of code that you want to repeat a lot, but you don't want to keep rewriting it in your code or something like that. So while loops execute a portion of the code while they're conditioned, such as this, just like the if statement is true. So in this statement, the while loop will print this word forever. So what it does is it starts, and then this statement will never print at all because this is true and this is false. So this will execute and this won't. So why does this happen? So what happens here is that the while loop first checks this condition, and then if it's true, which it is, because 3 isn't equal to 4, then it'll execute this code. So it'll print yeah. And then after it's done doing that, it'll go back, check the condition one more time. If it's still true, which it is, it'll go back, print it, then it'll go back to the condition, check it, print it, yeah. And then for this one over here, it'll look at the condition, see it's not true, it won't do anything, it won't execute this code, and it'll continue. Like this. So it'll evaluate the condition, execute, redo. If it's false, it'll exit. So to write a while loop, you have your while condition, and then you have a colon. Then you can just put then you have to indent, and then you can put your code here. So over here, you have a counter. So you have your, oh wait, whoops, I forgot a sec. My bad. So instead of having just an infinite loop, while loops should usually have a condition that becomes false after looping for a while, because otherwise you'll get an infinite loop. So over here is an example of a counter. So it defines the variable as 0. It'll check the condition, 0 is less than 5, so it'll execute the code, a plus equals to 1. So now a is 1, 1 is less than 5, it adds, a is 2, 2 is less than 5, a is 3, 3 is less than 5, a is 4, 4 is less than 5, a is 5, but nope, a is not less than 5 anymore. 5 is not less than 5, so then it continues on to the rest of the code. Here you can also put more than one line in the code inside of your while loop, so you can have multiple things done to multiple sort of deals. So this one will go through, while a is less than 5, it'll add 1, multiply it, square it, and subtract by 10. So then you have your anatomy. So you have your while, then your condition, then you have to remember the colon, tab in, indent, and then you have your expression. And then if you want to write more code, you tab out of the while loop, and then you write. So here you would define your variable. You have your while keyword, your condition, your colon, then you print a variable, then it's printing that I, and then adding to it. Then you can tab out and add more code. Other than while loops, there are for loops. These are a bit more complicated and might take a bit more time to understand, but I'm going to try it here. So for loops define a variable which represent each item in a set. Essentially, it loops through that set, assigning each value to a variable on which code can be executed. So that doesn't make sense at all, probably. So here, what it's doing is that you have this variable that's being generated here. Then this is what creates a set. So you have your set, this range function creates a set of 0 through the number that you input minus 1. So this creates a set of 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then it creates a variable, right? So you have number, and the first time it loops through, what it'll do is it'll assign number to the first thing in the set, the first item in the set. So then in the first loop, number is 0, and when you add 0 to A, it'll stay as 0. Then the second loop, number is 1 because that's the second item. Then you add 1 to A, it becomes 1. The third loop, it becomes 2. A is 1, 1 plus 2 is 3. The fourth loop, it becomes 3. So here you have 3 plus 3 because number is 3 now. Then you get 6. And the last loop, because this is the last number in the set, it becomes 4. And 6 plus 4 is equal to 10. And that's how the for loop goes through. To create a for loop, you have your for keyword. Then you can define a variable. It can be anything you want it to be. And then you put it in a range. So you can put a range function, and you have the number of iterations. Remember that it starts at 0 and not at 1. So if you have an iteration of 5, it'll only go up to 4, and it'll go 0 to 4, not 1 to 5. Then you tab in like the if and while loops, and then you put in your code, and then if you want to add more code after that, you tab out. Now we can push it back to Aditya to do more practice problems on while loops.
Okay, so can everyone see my screen right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, does anyone have any questions about what Vedant just taught? We're going to go through a few examples so that you can get a good idea of how to use while loops and for loops on your own. Yeah. So does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, that was a quick presentation. It's okay if you're confused about it. Just ask what you
That's why we have these practice problems, so that you can get a good idea of it. So if you have any questions about what a while loop is or what a for loop is or anything about it, we can answer those questions right now. Okay, so it looks like no one's has any questions. So the first question on these practice problems is to print out the word hello 15 times using a for loop. So instead of having 15 lines and just saying print hello, print hello, print hello again and again, what we can do is we can use a for loop and we can reduce that down to 2 lines of code, right? So remember, with for loops, you can repeat a set number of, you can repeat a snippet of code X number of times. So let's give an example here. If I say for I in range and 10, right? I put my colon, I return, and it indents. I say print hi. What it's going to do is it's going to print the word hi 10 times. Yeah, so if we run it, you can see that it's printed hi 10 times. So if we go back to the example, it's telling us to print out the word hello 15 times. So what we can do is we can say for I in range parentheses. Then we want it to print it out 15 times. So we put 15 in the middle. We put our colon at the end. We press enter. And remember, you have to be tabbed in. And then this will loop whatever code's inside of it 15 times. So I want to print hello 15 times. So if I run this code, it prints out the word hello 15 times. And you can check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah. So instead of having to actually have 15 lines of code, and put print hello on each one of them, this will actually print out hello 15 times on its own. The second question was to print out the word hello 6 times using a for loop, and afterwards to print out the word hello 7 times. So what this means is we need to have 2 for loops, one that prints out hello 6 times and one that prints out the word world 7 times. So we can say, first we want to print out hello 6 times. So let's do that. So you can say for I in range, remember this is the variable name. This can be anything you want, as long as you remember to use that same variable name when you're trying to reference it. So for I in range, and it said we wanted to print out hello 6 times. So we put 6, then a colon, and say print hello, right? And then if I just do this, it's going to print out hello 6 times. And I press enter. Right now, I'm still indented inside the for loop. I want to unindent because I want whatever else to come to not be inside of that for loop. Then the next thing is we need to print out the word world 7 times. So we can say for I in range, we want to do the 7 times. So we put 7, and we can print world. And if I run this code, it's going to print out the word hello 6 times, and the word world 7 times, as you can see. The next question is to print out all the even numbers from 0 to 99 using a for loop. So you might remember when Vedant was presenting, he said that, say I have this, if I want to print what range does is it creates a set of 10 values ranging from 0 to whatever this number is minus 1. So it's going to give me a list from 0 to 9. And so what that means is each iteration, it's going to give me one of those values from inside range. So the first time the for loop runs, I is going to be 0. The second time it runs, I is going to be 1. Third time it runs, I is going to be 2. And this is going to keep happening until I is 9, and then it will stop. After I is 9, it will stop running. So we can test this by saying print I, the variable I. Remember, this can be anything. This could be number, and it would still work. Now, if I print this, I'm going to print out all the numbers from 0 to 9. Now, if I want to print out only the even numbers, you might remember from the last presentation, you can use the modulus symbol. And what modulus does is it gives you the remainder. So if I want to find an even number, what I can do is I can take, if I want to find if the number is even, I can take, or if I just write this out. No, that didn't happen. If I print I 7 modulus 2, so what modulus does is it gives you the remainder. So 7 divided by 2, that'd be remainder 1. So if the remainder is not equal to 0, or if the remainder is 1, we can say it's an odd number. If the remainder is 0, then we know that it's an even number. So as we can see, 7 modulus 2 is 1 because 7 divided by 2 has remainder 1. Now, if I make the 7 into 6, 6 modulus 2 is 0 because 6 divided by 2 has no remainder. And so we'll get the answer 0. So now that we have figured, what we can do is we can write some code to say, if the remainder is 0, then we know it's an even number. So going back to the code, it says that we want to print out all the even numbers from 0 to 99. So I can say for I in range of 100. So what that does is it will give me a set of values from 0 to 99. Right? It's going to, each iteration, I is going to increment by 1 until it's 99. And once it's 99, it will end. You can say if I modulus 2 is equal to 0. So what this does is it checks if the remainder by dividing it by 2 is 0. That what this basically does is it says if the number is even, then you can print out that number. And so the goal was to print out only even numbers from 0 to 99. So if I run this code, it has printed every even number from 0 to 99. You get 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Now, if I remove this modulus 2, it's going to print out all the numbers from 0 to 99, as you can see. Right. Oh, I need to clear the console. So yeah, now it's printed out every number from 0 to 99. And the last question is, we're going to use a while loop. And starting from a random inputted number inside a while loop, multiply the inputted number by 5 and print the number until it is larger than 50. So again, once you take this question, you want to break it down. The first step is to take a random inputted number. So it wants a random inputted number. I can say number is equal to input. Please provide a number. Now number holds a string that represents whatever number the user has given. So now number is a string. Now I want to convert this to an integer. So I can say number is equal to integer, int, parentheses, put number inside. And what that did is now it converts number to an integer. So I can print number. If I run it, when I run the code, it's going to ask me for a number. I might give it 9, and it's going to print out the exact same number back as an integer. Now, the second step to the question is, inside of the while loop, multiply the inputted number by 5 and print the number until it is larger than 50. So what that means is we're going to be doing some modifications to number. We're going to change that on every while loop iteration. We're going to first say while number, print the number until it is larger than 50. So while the number is less than or equal to 50. So it says that you want to keep doing this process until the number exceeds 50. So we want to keep looping the code until the number exceeds 50. So you can say number is less than or equal to 50. Then what do we want to do to number? We want to multiply this inputted number by 5 and print it. Okay, so we want to take number and we want to multiply it by 5. So what we're doing is we're taking number, we're multiplying the number by 5, and we're making that equal to the new number. So we're taking that old number, multiplying it by 5, and making it equal to the now new number, right? And so then we can print out number on each side. So if I run this, let's say I provide the number 1. What it's going to do is it's all numbers less than or equal to. Do less than. If I give 1 second. Yeah, so what it's doing is we have to put the print number here. Yeah, so what it's doing is it's taking, again, we're taking the inputted number, we're converting that to an integer. Now we're saying while that number is less than 50. So while that number is less than 50, what we want to do is print out the number, then multiply that same number by 5 and make it equal to the new number. So if we go through the iterations of it, first I give the inputted number as 1, number is equal to 1. It checks, is 1 less than 50? That's true. So it prints out the number 1. And then it takes the number 1, multiplies it by 5, and makes that equal to the new number. So now number is equal to 5. Now it goes again, goes to the top. It evaluates this condition again. It says, is 5 less than 50? That's also again true. It prints out the new number, which is 5. And then it multiplies itself by 5. So we get 5 times 5, which is 25. Now it checks the same condition again. It says, is 25 less than 50? It checks this condition. It checks the condition 25 is less than 50. So it prints out 25. It multiplies the number again. 25 times 5 is equal to the new number, which is 125. And then it checks out this condition again. Is 125 less than 50? No, that's not the case. So once it's done, it exits the while loop, and there's no extra code for it to be run. So the program ends. So yeah, that was a little bit more complicated than the other problems. So yeah, now in the next 10 to 15 minutes, we have these 4 problems for you to solve. And yeah, go ahead and solve these. If you need any help, let us know and we'll be happy to help. And yeah, just let us know when you're done by typing in the chat. once again, if anyone needs help, just let us know. We're here to help. So yeah, I'll give you guys a few more minutes to finish up the last few questions. So. Okay, good job, everyone. We're going to move on to the next slide. So this is an extra practice slide if you want to work on this at home or something like that. This is a cool project to work on. So the project is to create a triangle of asterisks using a for loop and string concatenation. So basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to write code that can create this output. So it should basically create a triangle or a pyramid. And so you should have like one asterisk at the top, then it should print out 2 asterisks, then it should print out 3 asterisks, and so on and so forth, X number of times. And so what you should do is you should add that to a string, and then at the end you can just print out the string entirely. Yeah, that's a nice project to work on at home. So. Okay, yeah, just remember that. And now we're going to move on to the next part of this presentation, which is going to be on control systems. Basically, you can use while loop. This is a extension of the while loops activity and its connection to robotics. So what are control systems? Control systems are basically ways to control the state of an object. So one type of control system is called a bang-bang controller. And how it works is it switches between 2 different states to reach a specific set point. So that is a very confusing definition in itself. So I'm going to give you a few examples that might help clarify stuff. So let's take some sort of temperature control system or your temperature controlling system in your house, right? What it does, you have some sort of temperature sensor that tells you the current temperature of the room. You have some sort of goal temperature, a temperature you want to be at. And then you might also have an AC to cool down your house and a heating system to heat up your house. So you can use a bang bang controller to take your current temperature to this wanted temperature or whatever your goal temperature is. So let's say in my house, currently my temperature is 50 degrees Fahrenheit, right? And I want to make the temperature in the house 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and I want it to stay there. What I can do is I can write some code that basically says that if I am below the goal temperature, so if I'm less than 70 degrees Fahrenheit in my house, then I want to turn on the heating system, right? If I'm above 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which means my current house temperature is too hot, then I want to turn on the air conditioning. And so what that does is we can make the house temperature whatever specific temperature we want. So if we over time, what we can get is the house temperature will eventually reach 70 degrees Fahrenheit and it will stabilize around there. So on the right, this is some kind of a graph that would graph out how bang bang control looks. So whenever to increase the temperature, you would have your heating system, right? As it goes above this goal temperature, let's say this goal temperature was 70 degrees, it goes above and it becomes like 80 degrees in your house, the air conditioning is going to get turned on. And then what that's going to result in is the temperature of the room is going to drop. And once it's going to become too cold, which is going to result in the heater being turned on. And so what happens is you get in this, you're able to control the temperature this way and keep it between these acceptable bounds so that your house is never too hot or never too cold. So that's one example. A second example would be with drones, right? So bang bang is one way this could be done. There are other ways, but this is one of the simpler ones. So let's say I'm writing some piece of code to make a drone hover at 200 feet, right? I can take my current height and this target height, and I can say that I can write a piece of logic that basically says that if I'm below the height I want to be at, or below the lower bound of the target height, right? As you can see in this first image, if I'm below the target height, I should go upwards, right? I should make my drone go upwards. Now, in the same way, if I'm above the target height, I want to write some code to make my drone go downward. So what that means is the drone is going to go upward. It's going to go to this, it's going to, and then, yeah, over time, what's going to happen is the drone is going to stay it's going to stay at 200 feet, plus or minus a few feet here and there, right? So that's another example of where bang bang is used. And so bang bang basically operates on this simple control logic with while statements. So I wrote it out in a Pythonic way. So while true, so forever, this constantly runs, right? So while true, that means that these conditions or this snippet of code is run infinitely, right? Because the code will never stop because this condition never becomes false. I can say that if whatever I'm controlling is below the lower bound, so in that drone example, if the drone height is below my lower bound, then I want to increase this control. If my control is above an upper bound, what I want to do is decrease the control. So yeah, once again, over time, we can make it such that the control stays within this upper and lower bound. And using this logic, yes, the control will stay between the lower and upper bound. And that's useful for a variety of reasons in robotics. So yeah, that is bang bang that is a bit about bang bang and bang bang controllers. And you can do more research if you want to and see maybe maybe you can think of more examples where bang bang is used in robotics. So yeah, that is the end of our day 3 presentation. Thanks everyone for coming. Yeah, you guys all did really well today. So nice job. See you later.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
See you guys next.